Canelo versus Triple G. The trilogy has come to an end. And also this weekend, we have the heavyweight guru himself, Uncle James Bashir, in the house to talk about Parker versus Joyce, or Joyce versus Parker this weekend. Number 1 versus 2 in the WBO rankings. Stay tuned on BWTM Sports. We'll be right back. Okay, Uncle, let's just dive straight into this one. How have you been?
I've been all right.
Okay, so boxing. Let's get straight into Triple G versus Canelo, the third fight. Lots was talked about. Canelo was going to stop Triple G. Triple G's an old man. Triple G looked better at super middleweight in terms of his size, but the performance in the ring was very lackluster. Many people say that Triple G should retire now. What are your thoughts on the fight?
Well, he looked dismal. You know, he looked like he had just got out of bed, like he was boxing, like he was walking in mud, you know. He didn't look like the Triple G, anywhere near the Triple G of old. He just didn't look at, and I tell you, Canelo didn't look that much better.
No, Canelo looked garbage, to be honest. He looked like typical. It doesn't look like Canelo is going to improve. I think Canelo is where he is now. I don't think he improves.
A lot of factors could play into this here. The longevity of both of these guys' careers, the amount of money that these guys have earned over the time. So a lot of factors could be playing into their psychic, where they don't have the snap, crackle, and pop, if you will, anymore. And they just don't have the desire. I mean, Marvin Hagler once said it's very difficult to get out of bed when you're wearing silk pajamas. And
Every fight.
Canelo fits that mold.
Well, Canelo's come to the fights in silk pajamas, isn't he? When he comes to these pre-fight weigh-ins, he looks like he's in silk pajamas all the time.
Well, these guys have earned a lot of money. So, you know, like I said, it can play into the psychic of the individual. When you make that much money, the motivation to be there, you know, it tampers with that motivation. You know, when you got that much money, it tampers with the motivation.
I noticed something. It was almost like watching Klitschko versus Fury all over again in terms of, because Jonathan Banks was in the corner, and yet again, Banks showed no urgency for his fighter. There was no rally. There was no, come on, you've got to win this fight. It's like, come on, G. You know, you need to take it to him now. And it's all very same pace, very monotone. You know, there was no passion from the trainer. At least, you know, when Andre Ward got knocked down by Kovalev, Virgil Hunter, and he's normally very smooth talking and quiet and whispering in the corner, he actually shouted and screamed Andre Ward. When Emmanuel Stewart brought Lennox Lewis back to the corner after a round, and you know, he was talking to Mike Tyson. He was talking about the Mike Tyson fight. He was telling Lennox Lewis, you know, you might get caught with some crazy shit. Get this guy out of here as quick as possible. Angelo Dundee famously, when he turned around to Sugar Ray Leonard and say, "You're blowing it, son." Those moments there, Chris Eubank, when he's in the corner and Ronnie Davis is throwing water in his face and slapping Eubank's face and saying, "Come," and rallying Eubank to maintain his unbeaten record. Things like that. Again, I've seen Jonathan Banks yet again in a situation where he's been lacking in the department in terms of being passionate and wanting to see his fighter get his fighter over the hurdle, or if a fighter's having a bad night, you know, be able to say, "Come on, you can do this. Just come on, G, you can do it. Come on, G, I need more from you." It's like, all right, well, if you're not going to do anything, that's your business. I'm still getting paid anyway. That sort of attitude. Your thoughts on that?
You know, as much as it's not much I could say. Different strokes for different folks, different styles. You know, I mean, Banks probably said that this is what my guy needs to do. He didn't see the urgency. So it's different personas, you know. I think that I would have matched the gas a little more. You know, I would have been a little more animated in the corner.
But okay, can let me ask you, in your experience, let's not use Jonathan Banks. Let's use just a type of persona, a very softly spoken, laid back type of approach. Has there been any trainers in the history of boxing? I'm sure there have been, that are very laid back, even in the storm, and have been successful with that approach when the champion's need or the challenge needed to be valid?
It's the temperament of the two, the trainer and the boxer. They have to mesh. They have to entwine with each other to get the job done. And if not, most of the time, you're going to get the results that you got in the fight the other night.
Okay.
Everybody is a trainer. Everybody has the science on what to do in a fight. And then when you have these guys in the big fights, they fail. Not one time, not two times, but many times, over and over and over again.
So why do the same names keep being brought up over and over and over again, but yet you're seeing them over and over and over again? When it comes down to it, in certain departments, they're just lacking.
I really don't know. I think I blame that on the boxers. The boxers themselves, they don't observe their careers. You know, they don't observe their careers in a way where it would propel them to be the best that they can be. They are introduced to an idea. Oh, work with this guy. This guy is great. He's worked with so-and-so. He worked with so-and-so. He worked with so-and-so. But what was the result of him working with those people? The boxers don't ask themselves that. They don't ask themselves that. What was his success rate? What was the fashion in by which he garnered his reputation? Boxers don't ask themselves. They just go with something.
Fashion, flavor.
Yeah. This is my uncle's cousin's niece's brother, so I'm going to work with him.
And put my life on the line in the process. I don't understand it.
Put my life on the line in the process. Exactly. I don't understand it. I've been talking about it to you for many years now. I just don't understand it.
Now, I do know there are a number of promoters that use a select group of trainers. That when they sign the fighter, they will say to the fighter, you've got to choose this guy, this guy, this guy, or this guy to train with.
Well, the one thing that I really like is about the Muhammad Ali Act. Senator John McCain in the U.S. formulated the Muhammad Ali Act. And in the Muhammad Ali Act, it says that every boxer has the right, the reserved right, to choose who he wants in the corner. He could have Cinderella in the corner, and nobody, the manager, the promoter, nobody can say nothing about it. But I think that has been taking many boxers to an extreme, where they just bring in auto mechanics instead of boxing mechanics. And it's causing them to lack. It's causing the death of boxing. I'm watching boxing go into a tailspin where if it continues to be like this here, boxing won't be in existence in 15, 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because you got many people out here guessing. They're not practicing the art of boxing. They're not applying tutelage of boxing. They're not applying the science of boxing. They're guessing. I see it. Different things. The trained eye can see it. I'll see different applications on the internet, different directions that they give the fighter. You know, and most of the guys that's there, I don't know them. I don't know it because I'm older. You know, I'm just separated from those guys that's there now. So I'm not gonna say they're good. I'm not gonna say they're bad. I'm not gonna say anything about them because I don't know anything about them. I don't know them. So you know, the sport in my mind is dying. I don't have, even as a trainer, I don't have the same enthusiasm that I had 20 years ago. I don't have the same enthusiasm. When it takes forever for Earl Spence to box Terrence Crawford, how can I be in, when it takes that long for Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, how can I be enthusiastic about that? You know, Canelo to fight Charlo. I mean, you know, come on.
Okay, let me throw this at you. The other day, Frank Warren was fuming at one of the mainstream boxing magazines, and he said that they rated his show 2-star because a lot of the young fighters were fighting journeymen. And Frank said, don't you understand that you have to build a fighter up? You can't have a fighter fighting King Kong in his first 5 fights. You have to build a fighter up, and you've got to build his career up. And a lot of these people are disrespectful to boxing and disrespectful to the sport and don't understand the sport, and they should be shot off in boxing. Your thoughts on this?
I think that Frank Warren is right. You have to build a boxer. You cannot throw them into the sea and expect them to swim like a shark. You know, it takes time to build up, to get the boxer to understand. But when the old-time trainers and the old-time promoters put boxers in, they put them in. Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather, and those guys, they were in with some pretty good fighters that was on the way out, but they could still fight.
Mm-hmm.
Those many of those fights were risky fights. You know, they were risky fights. I mean, it was commonplace to see that Mayweather or Floyd would win the fight, but not easily. So I think that Frank Warren is right. He has to have guys that are experienced, but guys that cannot put out the flame of the young fighter coming up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, in terms of fights being made, one fight that has probably shocked a lot of people is the Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight. The Fury is, they're saying that the terms have agreed for December the 3rd. What would your advice be to Anthony? Because Robert Garcia is saying he needs to come back to America, go back to America and train in America instead of training in the UK. Fury obviously wants to fight. He can't wait until next year to fight USYK, wants to fight him now, or wants to fight Joshua now. What's your advice to Anthony? Does he take the fight now?
Yeah, I think that Anthony, the best thing for Anthony to do is just put the past in the past. He lost to USYK the second time. He needs to get busy. He needs to go forward. Okay, he lost to USYK. Don't sit around and boo-hoo about it. Okay, on to the next fight. That's what the old school fighter did over and over and over again. Ron Lau, Ernie Shavers, Larry Holmes, Kenny Norton, those guys crisscross each other all the time. They was fighting each other all the time. You know, if somebody lost to somebody, say, okay, I lost you, but now I'm going to go and fight this guy. And they kept right on going. They kept going. And what can you do sitting around boo-hooing about it?
Is this the right career move for him now? Or should he take a warm-up? Or is the right thing to fight Fury now?
I think it's the right thing to fight him now. Anthony Joshua is at that level. He's at that level where to go to fight anybody else just wouldn't make sense. It just wouldn't make sense. If you get knocked off, if you should lose to Fury, there's no dishonor in that. But if you go and take somebody else and lose to them, whoa, you know, that's a career damaging move. So I think the Fury fight is a wise fight to take.
And for Fury, why do you think Fury's calling this fighter now with Anthony Joshua rather than going straight for the Usyk fight?
Say that again, please.
Why do you think Fury wants to fight Joshua now and not wait till next year for a Usyk fight?
Who knows what Tyson Fury? It could be in one of a thousand reasons, you know. But I know one thing, that he's keeping himself in the mix. I can't get Usyk. Come on, give me Joshua.
And how do you see that fight going? Should it happen on December the 3rd? Is it enough time for Joshua to prepare?
Prepare for what? They know each other. They've been in the ring with each other. With heavyweights, it's not a whole lot of planning and plotting. You know, these are heavyweights. Mm-hmm. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua know each other well. And it won't be that difficult for one to prepare for the other. I think they can go right now.
Okay. Who do you think will win this fight, in your opinion?
Hey, man, it's a 50-50 fight, but if my back was to the wall, I'd go with Anthony Joshua.
Wow. Why Joshua?
I'd go with Joshua because Joshua does well. He does better with tall fighters as opposed to him fighting shorter fighters.
Okay.
I think that he'll find Fury easier than anybody else, you know.
What about all the mental games Fury will play and the southpaw stance that Fury has?
Huh?
What about all the mental games Fury will play and get inside of Joshua's head and talk to him? And
Joshua has to guard himself against that foolishness. I learned a long time ago, as an amateur boxer, many years ago, I'd get emotionally involved with different guys that I was going to box against, and I'd get upset with them, you know, for the things, the tactics that they was using, the things they were saying. And my trainer would say to me, "Hey, man," he said, "I don't care what they say. Who cares about what they says? You still have to go in the ring and fight. So focus on that and not on this. Focus on the fact that you got to get in the ring. It doesn't matter what you say." So if Anthony can block that out of his mind and go in there and take the fight to Fury, I think he stands a great chance of winning that fight, and possibly by stoppage. He has the power to do it. Fury is not. Now he's not invulnerable, you know. I mean, Wallen proved that he's not invulnerable. You know, if Joshua goes in there and takes the fight to him, and don't stand around, you know, looking at his work the way my guy Vladimir Klitschko did, admiring his work, just keep working until the referee jumps in between and stops the fight. I think that Anthony stands a great chance of winning that fight.
Okay. Let's talk about this weekend. Who's the better Joe? Joe Joyce or Joe's Parker?
You know, Parker to me is an underachiever. I don't know what he's going to do under Andy Lee. Whether his psychic has changed to be a better boxer, a better executioner. But this looks to be a 50-50 fight. Very intriguing to say the least. It's hard to pick a winner in this fight.
Keys to victory for both fighters.
Joe Joyce has to cut the ring down and Parker to engage. Parker has to move and groove and use his speed and accuracy to win the fight. To go out ahead in the first 4 rounds on points, and then maintain, use a good stiff jab. Because Joe is a little lethargic, little robotical, and that won't work to solve the problem with Joe Parker. So I think that Parker needs to get outside, move and groove, and use that jab repeatedly.
Okay.
To take control of the jabbing. If Parker can establish a good jab and use it over time, he'll win that fight.
Yeah.
He'll win that fight. He'll win the fight. But, you know, he can't get complacent. He can't get complacent. I thought that Du Bois was beating Joe Joyce.
I said to everybody that Joyce will find Dubois will find a way out of that fight. I said it when the temperature gets put up, he'll find a way out. And he hurt him the round before, and then the next round he dropped and got stopped, and he got hit with the jab all night long, jab, 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 jab. Dubois can block the jab.
Just said that Parker needs to out jab Joe Joyce. He can't be what Joe Joyce is jabbing. Joe Joyce can't outmove and outslick Parker. I think Parker's going to be a little more difficult to hit.
How about, let me throw this at you, Uncle. How about, and I'm just looking at what I saw for Andy Lee working with Parker. It looked to me that he was trying to get angles on Joyce. So when Joyce would throw the jab, he tried to slip inside. So he'd make Joyce throw the punch because Parker's the faster puncher. It's slip inside when Joyce throws the jab, slip inside and let his shots go. That's what it seemed like. It was slip inside, slip outside the jab and throw his on right hand or move to the side when Joe Joyce threw the jab. So he looked like he was trying to slip and slide with
these kind of heavyweights, it's just hard to tell. It's just hard to tell. You got to see the impact of the influence that Andy Lee has on Joe Joyce.
Parker, you mean?
I mean, Joe Parker.
Yeah.
You got to see the impact of the influence that Andy Lee has on him. And you'll be able to tell that there. In the first 3 rounds, you'll be able to tell about that influence.
I've got quite high praise of Andy Lee. I mean, if you listen to Andy Lee talk and the way he breaks boxing down, and he's been around Emmanuel Stewart, yourself. So, I mean, he's got good tutelage and a former fighter himself. He wasn't too bad.
I worked with and around Andy for a long time. And he's a pretty level-headed guy. You know, real smooth operator. So if Joe Parker is listening to Andy Lee, he'll progress.
That's what I'm thinking.
He'll progress. If he listens, he has to listen. He has to maintain. He just can't allow Joe Joyce to walk him down, tire him. Because if he tires him, then Joe Joyce is going to have a leg up on the situation. But I think that if Joe Parker can grasp what Andy Lee is trying to get across to him, he wins this fight. He wins this fight by decision.
Okay. And how does a fight between Alexander Usyk and Joseph Parker go? And is it a more difficult fight than Anthony Joshua fight?
Usyk beats Joe Parker.
Easy?
No, it's never easy when you're in that ring, especially when you're in the heavyweight department. Usyk is just a smooth operator, you know. You got to look for specifics, how to slow this baby down. You know, I would suggest for anybody that's fighting Oleksandr Usyk to go out and with the thought in mind that I got to take these first 3 rounds. I got to have these 3 rounds. This got to go in my wallet the first 3 rounds goes in my wallet. I don't care what USYK does. I want those first 3 rounds.
Okay.
And then we can get and all those other things. But I want the first 3 rounds in my wallet. That's no doubt.
Eddie Hearn, him again, has mentioned that he thinks that if Usyk were to fight Wilder, Wilder wouldn't land a glove on him. Your thoughts?
Thinking the same thing. With the style of Wilder, I just don't see Wilder doing as much to Usyk as Joshua did. I just don't see it. I just don't see what Wilder has to looking at Wilder's style in my mind. I just don't see Wilder being as effective as Joshua was.
But he's more athletic than Joshua, surely.
Yeah, but Wilder over the years, he's been throwing a lot of wild punches. You know, like I call them lottery punches. If I land one, if I land one, if I land two, if I land two, if I only I can land. So you can't play a lottery with Oleksandr Usyk because you'll come up short every time. I think Usyk is a very difficult fight. In fact, I always thought that Usyk would present a very difficult fight for Wilder.
Okay. Going back a bit, did you see Luis Ortiz and Andy Ruiz?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you think?
Like 2 old fogies walking around the ring. SpongeBob and Frank the Plumber, you know?
Uncle! Frank the Plumber.
In one sequence, it looked like they stood there for 3 or 4 rounds trying to catch their breath.
God, that's terrible.
Perhaps it's me, but it looks like it was 2 old fogies just standing there trying to catch their breath. You know, okay. I've implored Vlad SIRENKO to try to get into these fights now. Ortiz and Ruiz, those guys can be beat. Those guys can be beat right now by young fighters like Vlad SIRENKO. This is the time to get these guys.
Wow.
I wasn't impressed by that fight at all.
So Ortiz, Ruiz looks like it's going to be Ruiz versus Wilder if Wilder gets past Helenius next month. Helenius looks open to the right hand, to be fair.
Yeah, he looks open to a lot of things, but he can throw some punches too.
I know that much.
He can throw some punches too. I don't expect for him to beat Wilder, but having said that, Wilder has to be on his P's and Q's because this is Helenius' last chance at the brass ring. And when a fighter knows that this is his last chance at the brass ring, he's got to come with his A game. So Wilder has to be on his P's and Q's. But I think Wilder wins the fight.
Okay, Wilder versus Ruiz.
Knockout, Wilder.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Ruiz is not so elusive. Wilder keeps him at bay with a jab. And the first time that Ruiz tries to engage, he gets hit with that right hand and good night, good night, good night. No, wow. Wilder wins that fight via knockout.
Wilder versus Parker.
Risky fight for Deontay. Risky fight for Parker.
Good fight though, right?
Good fight. Good chemistry. But I got Deontay Wilder winning that fight.
A fight that I think JOYCE needs to swerve is JOYCE versus Deontay Wilder. I think he needs to swerve that fight. Absolutely.
Oh Lord, yeah. Deontay nailed him. Deontay will nail him, you know. Anybody that's in just standing around and just being moving slow, and Deontay lands the right hand. Deontay Wilder has a devastating, crippling right hand, and nobody can deny that.
Weather Events and Fire says Shavers versus Wilder in the day.
Whew. Pick 'em, man. It's a pick 'em. Shaver versus Wilder. Whoever gets there first, the other one is gone.
He's just said Vlad SIRENKO versus Wilder.
Risky fight for young Vlad. Very risky fight. But at the same time, very risky fight for Deontay. Because both of them are power punches. They can get you out of there with one shot.
Yes.
It's a very risky fight. I want to get Vlad into the camp to work with Wilder, you know, because he can only benefit from it, you know. But
yes.
it's good work. In fact, Vlad SIRENKO just went into California to speak with a couple of managers there.
Yes.
And while he was there, yesterday he told me that he was invited to box Frank Sanchez. So this is his third day. Today will be a third day in boxing Frank Sanchez.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
So that's a move up. And then when he comes back to New York in a couple of days, we're gonna go and box with HELENIUS.
Wow.
So
well, when you
he's a worldly guy when it comes to sparring with these guys. He's been in with Joe Hunter, Tony Yoka, you know, Bermain Stavern, Vladimir Klitschko, Alexander Usyk. He's boxed
Daniel Dubois,
Povetkin. So he's been in there with all of these guys.
That answers your question, Mr. Weather Events and Fire. So I don't have to answer that question for you.
I'm very proud of that, by the way, that Vlad SIRENKO, you know, has that hunger to get in with these guys, because he can only benefit from him those engagements.
Absolutely. So when do you think you're going to get Vlad outboxing again?
I'm figuring that we should be in there before the new year comes in. Sometime in December, we should be back in there with someone.
Okay. Next year's got to be a big year for Vlad, though.
Yeah, I assume that next year will be a big year for him.
Okay. Who hits harder, Alexander Usyk or Vlad SIRENKO?
I think that Vlad SIRENKO is a harder puncher than Usyk.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a harder puncher.
One punch or combination?
I think he's a harder punch, one punch fighter than OLEKSANDR.
When's the last time you actually worked together with Vlad?
We worked together 2-3 days ago.
Okay.
I had him and Igor Plevecko working together.
Okay.
Up in New York.
And what are the things you're working on now with Vlad? So, like, obviously, he was. Go ahead.
Forward to all of these guys is to utilize your jab. Never underestimate the jab, because it's the key principle in a boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to get Vlad SIRENKO and Igor Plevecko to understand. You got to utilize that jab all of the time. Everything is going to work off that jab. If you could just land the jab up and land the jab down, you can comfortably slide your right hand in and throw your left hooks and uppercuts. But that jab is very important, and this is what I'm trying to get Vlad SIRENKO to see, Igor Plevecko to see, that everything is planned off of that jab. If you just have some confidence in it and use it more. Both guys are eager to punch. They just want to touch just to get close enough so they can start throwing right hands, left hooks and stuff. But I want them to relax and get used to using the jab.
Okay.
In other words, create a boxing match.
Dillian White versus Daniel Dubois is a fight that's been mooted that could happen before the end of the year. Your thoughts?
I'll pick 'em. That's a pick 'em fight. Dubois doesn't, in my mind, doesn't have that killer instinct.
Okay.
Until he's threatened.
Okay.
Dillian always has a killer instinct. Dillian is going to go for the throat right away. But if Daniel Dubois feels threatened, then he'll fight, you know. So it's a pick 'em fight.
Who would you slide towards?
Dubois.
Okay. Okay. If you could train outside of Usyk, Fury, Joshua, and Parker, who would you train in the heavyweight division looking at them today?
Joshua.
And you think you could...
Anthony Joshua.
No, outside of Anthony Joshua, outside of the top, those four guys. Joshua, Fury, Wilder, and Usyk. Out of the four kings, forget them. Put them to one side.
Vlad SIRENKO.
Yeah, yeah, you've got Vlad SIRENKO because that doesn't count. Being a politician here. You're a politician. There's nobody else in the heavyweight division you want to train.
Yeah, Eddie Chambers.
Okay. Yes. How is Eddie doing, by the way? How's training coming with Eddie?
Eddie's training's coming along good. Eddie's a trainer's dream.
A consummate pro. Say the word. Say the word consummate pro.
Consummate pro. You know, he's just a sweetheart. You know.
Yeah.
You know, you just say it, and Eddie is there. He does it. You know.
Okay. All right.
Eddie Chambers is a smooth operator.
When are we going to see Eddie fight? When's he going to fight?
I think October 15th he's gonna fight.
October 15th. Isn't that the night that Wilder fights HELENIUS?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that on the undercard? Are you saying?
No, it's someplace else. We got a couple fights under for Eddie before the new year comes in.
Okay. Keep us. Let's get that exclusive. Let's get that exclusive. Don't leave us out there.
I'm gonna give you a number to communicate with Eddie.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That sounds.
He's a smooth operator, and I love working with Eddie Chambers. Okay.
Well, I like to. I've been trying to contact Eddie for a while. I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe he's forgotten who I am, what my name is. I'm not surprised. No, of course he knows who I am.
I'm going to get your number for it, so you won't have to try to contact him anymore. You'll be able to talk to him.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. All right. Uncle Bashir, anything else you'd like to say before we end this interview or this show? Because I know you've got to
link for the fight. I want to see that.
The fight this weekend. JOYCE and okay. Oh, one more thing. Shields versus Savannah Marshall. Any other thoughts on that fight?
It's a good fight.
Who wins?
Right now, it looks like to me 60-40 fight. Shields wins the fight.
Okay. Baumgardner versus what's the girl's name again? I can't remember the girl's name now. I can see her right now.
It's a 50-50 fight.
The Baumgardner fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
50-50 fight. Right now.
Okay. 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 Ben EUBANK.
I'm going with Ben.
Okay.
I'm going to ride with Ben.
You're riding with Ben. Okay, that's on October 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Spence Crawford, supposedly November 19th.
I'm going with Crawford by the skin of his chinny chin chin.
Okay.
It's going to be a hard fight, difficult fight for both guys, but I'm going with Crawford.
Garcia, Tank Davis. I'm hearing the fight is a done deal, but that could just be a rumor.
Tank.
Oof. Okay.
I'm going with Tank.
All right, Uncle. All right. Well, we'll catch up over the weekend, and obviously after maybe do a post fight for Parker versus Joyce.
All right.
All right, Uncle.
Send me a link.
I will do. I'll send you a link as always.
They writing down here. What, somebody writing something?
Nothing to do with us. So it's something to do with games, gaming. Nothing to do with boxing.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
Uncle. We'll see you soon. Thank you as always. Take care.
Yep. Take care. See you later.